take place this at the beginning of April, actually from 1st to the 3rd of April at the KICC. But because of this COVID-19 pandemic, it was postponed. So at the end of the day, we'll be discussing what is the impact of the coronavirus, especially when it comes to the film industry, and how is the film industry going to face this challenge. Well, this morning, I'm joined by the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, Timothy Owase. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And a very good morning to you. Thank you very much for finding time to join me. Remember to also tag him at Timothy Owase1 on Twitter, at Kenya Film.com on Twitter, at KBC Channel 1, and my handle is at Ramagugo. Good morning. Keep tweeting, keep texting. How are you doing? It's 1 year since you've been in office. How has it been? Indeed,
it's been 1 year since I took up the mantle of championing the Kenya Film Commission role. And it's been exciting, given that I've actually been doing or undertaking a role that I love, the industry that I care about. Of course, looking at how we can be able to reposition our industry and attract more productions in the country.
How has it been, trying to bring harmony in the film industry?
So far, I must admit that I'm happy with the progress. We are not yet there. And one of the quick wins is that the industry is calm. I think that is one of those steps that will help us get to the next stage.
Things have cooled down.
Things have cooled down. There's no noise. There is constructive discussion about how we can be able to grow our industry. Also, a key area of focus for me has been the internal reorganization, how to strengthen our systems, back up our capacity so that we're able to serve the industry to the optimal level.
And have you managed to get more partners, even as you are now looking at 1 year down the line? What partners have you been working with so far?
Thank you. Looking at 1 year down the line, we have covered quite a lot of strides. We have quite a number of key partners on board. Looking at organizations like MultiChoice, Talent Factory, we have Canon, institutions of higher learning like Dedan Kimathi University, where innovation is actually taking center stage. We have institutions like USIU, county governments, and among many more. We have also set up quite a number of programs that are geared towards just repositioning this industry and giving the industry a leeway to grow. Remember, our core mandate is to create Kenya as a competitive filming destination, while at the same time growing the local film industry. And to make Kenya a competitive film industry, we must have everything right. Capacity, equipment, communication facilities, and also governance instruments, how the industry is organized in terms of do we have strong film associations, how are we using technology to connect with other entities across the globe. Other than that, we must also focus on the legal environment. How is it impacting the business of film?
The policies.
Exactly. Yeah. Other than that, the capacity in terms of human skills. We need qualified producers, actors, and all that. Plus many more.
Well, we will touch on all of these issues even as we continue with this morning conversation. But I'd like to start from the Kalasha market, the film market. It's an initiative by the Kenya Film Commission, but just to for the benefit of the viewer and to just bring it to just give us some ground, what is the Kalasha market all about?
Thank you very much. The Kalasha Film and TV market is an annual event that we undertake in Kenya. And this is purely a buyers and sellers of content place.
So it involves everyone?
It involves everyone. What happens at the Kalasha market? all those who come to Kalasha market come with an intention of connecting for business, selling content, or an idea, participating on discussions through various conferences, workshops. We also have pitching sessions within the Kalasha market, an exhibition, which means new technologies, media houses come to exhibit what they have to offer. And also we just help the industry connect. Networking is very important. So the international film market for us is a platform that aimed at creating that leeway for our local dwellers, because when you look at the region, the only closest international content market was in South Africa, that is Discop. In this region, we didn't have any market, so we found it important that we establish one so that we cover that gap. And also remember, we cannot be able to afford to carry everyone to Discop. We'll rather bring Discop to Nairobi, and that's why Kalasha is important to be held here in Nairobi.
Now, this film market was, we were supposed to have it, this is the 4th edition this year.
This is the 4th edition, and it was meant to take place on 1st to 3rd of April, or this month, but because of COVID-19, we've had to suspend. Of course, suspending means Kalasha market is still alive, but we will be communicating shortly on how we are going to undertake it, when, based on the outcome of the interventions that are being undertaken on curbing COVID-19.
All right, and we will touch on that, because I'm really interested in finding out how are we curbing these challenges of the coronavirus. But we'll touch on that in a bit. Let's talk about promoting film, investing in film, and how we are providing information to create and maintain our networks. But I'd like to start with finding out what are we currently doing when it comes to showcasing filming activities of companies from Kenya and the rest of the world.
Thank you. First of all, we must appreciate that, first of all, film is business.
Yes,
and as film is business, we must follow the business structure from A to Z. We look at the product being produced, being put to the market, being communicated, being priced, and being consumed by the audiences. From where I sit, I'm looking at a situation where that I must enable the industry to produce quality content and put this quality content through the right platforms for consumption. So how do we ensure this? The Commission undertakes various programs on building capacity when it comes to quality content that is churned out of the market. We also create opportunities for the content producers to be able to see beyond where we are. Because when you are producing content, you produce it for a specific target market, because you can't produce a product for everyone.
Just general products,
no, it's
you must be specific to what you want.
Exactly. In the film industry, it will be very difficult for you to sell if your product is really a general product. Yes, it may appeal to the general viewing, but which market are you appealing to? Is it children? Are you looking at the segment of adults only? Are you looking at the segment of, or which market are you really looking at in terms of region and so on? So we do county capacity building workshops. And when you talk about capacity building workshops, we focus on various segments within the industry. We have classified filmmakers into those who are joining the industry now, those who are mature producers and actors and so on. So we address their needs based on their
capacity, or their level of knowledge.
Exactly. Other than that, creating platforms for filmmakers to be able to open up the scope in terms of where they can sell their products. Remember, there are so many streams for really making revenue out of film products. It may be through VODs or streaming services. It will be through the mainstream TV, cinema theaters, and so on. So our focus here again is to ensure that we align our industries with the realities of the current situation in the country and across the globe.
And
what are the trends?
You've been able to, get all these producers, all these content creators, to put them in the different categories, and then to align themselves to bearing in mind that we have a vision and a target.
This is work in progress. I must admit that, as I said earlier, the film industry, just like any other industry, be it agriculture or so, we must be considered as a formal sector.
But now we are not being considered
at the moment, we are semi-formal. The reason being, most of our filmmakers have not appreciated the position of being in a formal sector and being critical to the contribution of the national GDP.
But now the creative sector has been, is coming out as secondary to the mainstream.
I wouldn't really say that it's secondary because we are here because it has a meaning to the economy. Yes. And it can do even much more if all of us, the key stakeholders, appreciate that fact. And that's why today we are calling on everyone to sign up to the Kenya's Film Directory. Why is the Film Directory important? Today, I would like you to be able to get to our online system and access Producer X with all their details, or an actor, or a director, and so on. When that information is available, then the Commission and any other government entity can be able to openly classify or identify you with an activity as a filmmaker.
There is a track record that has been put there. That is online.
That is it.
On the website.
Yes.
Oh, you had mentioned about someone being able to identify their market. But now, what are the pre-existing platforms that we have that are offering high-level interaction for trading and sharing of ideas?
Well, when you look at the market today, the digital platforms are open to everyone. The Commission has affiliated itself with various key entities across the globe. Remember, we are affiliated to the Association of Film Commissioners International, which is the only global body for film commissions, with a membership of over 400 film commissions. And I must also say that out of these 400 film commissions, in Africa, it's only Kenya that is affiliated to this particular body.
The KFC.
And the Kenya Film Commission, yes.
Yes.
And as a commissioner, I happen to be the only certified film commissioner in Africa affiliated to this particular institution. This association has provided Kenya Film Commission with an array of an opportunity. And these opportunities are ranging from global best practices reports to production funding proposals and every other aspect that one would want to. We connect to this global community through the AFCI portal, which gives us room to have a conversation. On daily basis, I have a conversation with my fellow commissioners on what is happening and how we can be able to address the current challenges. So for the film industry, there are many opportunities that are available, both online, for training, for marketing, and also for the general networking. We provide this avenue to the industry through our communication tools.
So this is now using technology?
Using technology, yes.
But now as you talk about technology, how can you use it now to support the content creators in this film industry? Thank you.
Today, as we speak, we have what we call ease of doing business. Remember, the Kenya Film Commission is under the Ministry of ICT, steered by CS Musheru.
Yes.
And the focus of this ministry is to enable businesses by use of technology. At the Commission, we have analyzed and identified that there is need to make it easy for film producers to access all services in government, be it at the national or county government, by way of introducing what we call an EFilm Shop. This is an equivalent of e-citizen platform that will enable filmmakers access services at one-stop point. We are currently developing this particular platform, and when it is launched, I believe this will give the film industry an ease of access.
So just to cut it short, you're saying someone can be able to get all the information through the EFilm on the website. Are we talking about the film itself? Are we talking about information that pertains to the producers, the directors? What exactly are we looking into?
I mentioned two items here.
Yes.
There is the film industry directory, which will be online, and that is work in progress. I also talked about the EFilm Shop platform, which is meant to be a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to access government services from wherever they are. Remember, today when you want to film, you have to get permission from various agencies, especially if you want to use drone, you want to access locations in a county government jurisdiction.
There's a procedure to
yes, and there are various points that you have to undergo before you can be able to carry out this particular exercise. For us, our role, as I said, is to make Kenya competitive. If production in Kenya has a long bureaucratic process, then we will not be making Kenya competitive. And that's why we are coming up with an EFilm Shop, supported by the Ministry of ICT.
Where everything can happen on that platform, making work easier.
It makes work easier. You want to, let's say, seek for a filming license, you go to the platform and you should be able to interact with whichever agency is offering that particular service without you having to walk into 20 different offices. So that is the intention.
Through this, someone can be able even to keep, to stay in touch with the government.
Yes.
Yeah, because there is a connection.
Exactly.
You bridge that gap.
Yeah. Remember, world over, the role of government is service delivery. And service delivery in the easiest way possible. You provide an opportunity that you can be able to offer services at ease without having to create roadblocks. So by introducing an EFilm Shop, any roadblock that is imagined old real will be done away with.
Nice.
Yes.
And speaking of that, on film, how invested are we when it comes to the film industry? Are we investing as much as we should?
Thank you. Remember, this is an emerging industry in this particular region. In government, we have appreciated that this is a sector that will be able to turn around so many things. And when I talk about many things, I'm looking at a situation where the film sector is able to employ so many people. Anytime you have a film production on location, there are so many services that are offered. Transport, tourism, there is an element of hotel services, money transfers, and so on. So the importance of this particular industry cannot be understated. And that's why we have to put all measures in place to see to it that we provide an enabling environment for the business of film to thrive. And that is what the Ministry of ICT, led by CS Msheru, is championing this to see to it that we are able to achieve this within the shortest time.
Trying to bring the film industry to the forefront.
It's very critical. We are all committed to seeing this work because a thriving film industry will ensure that we've got opportunities for our young people to get employed. We've got income coming through, let's say through productions. We will have our citizenry in terms of audiences of the content that is produced by the locals being consumed and also influencing how we interact and live as a people. We should be able to promote our own culture through film, because film is a strong influence on how we live and do a lot of things around us.
We should buy Kenya,
exactly.
Promote Kenya, sell Kenya.
That is it. Film is the best form of marketing that you can ever have. If you produced a film today about, let's say, Mount Kenya or Dedan Kimathi, that film will be here for forever. And it will sell the country for the many years to come without you having to spend again. So mine is to encourage investors and all other potential participants within this particular industry to invest heavily into the sector. Why? It's a lucrative and important sector for all of us.
Now, you're talking about promoting film, investing in it. Now, I'm taking it back to find out, what about the policies that are there for film? What do you think about the current policies that have been put in place that pertain to the film industry?
Yes. In any operational environment, there has to be a policy framework that guides how you do business.
Yes.
And in this country, we have a film legal framework that is currently guiding how we operate as an industry.
Yeah.
But it's also worth noting that when you talk about policies, these are progressive.
The things that change with
yes,
time.
They keep changing with the time because, especially in our sector, technology is revolving very fast. So many things are happening. So we have to also change with the time. And for that reason, this financial year, again championed by our CS Musheru, we've brought on board experts from Kenya Law Reform to relook at our film policy. And
the financial year 2019-2020?
Yes,
okay.
We are currently, the experts are currently relooking at that particular policy. And the policy should be, when approved, should be able to really address what you are raising. But the key point here is we must, and we are alive to the fact that we have to be real and connected to the times.
And we will touch on that because in terms of funding, there is something that is going on so far, courtesy of the Kenya Film Commission. We'll touch on that also in a bit. But back to promoting film, promoting the film industry. You've talked about policies being there, and that policies change with time. But now, these policies and the promoters of film need to promote what is having some sense of some certain kind of standard. When it comes to the standard that is there in Kenya, are we meeting the standards required that can enable someone to say, we need to promote this local market, we need to promote this local film industry?
Okay, you know, when you talk about a standard,
yes,
then we must ask ourselves, what is the measure? Yeah, we are measuring the Kenyan standard to which one?
To what?
Yes, but the most important is we are looking at how do we ensure that we raise the bar.
Are we setting our own standards?
We set standards, business standard of film, to a sense that if every Kenyan film producer knows that anytime they produce a film product, that product can traverse nations and can be accepted by the identified audiences, I think we'll be meeting the standards. And that's why our intention here is to ensure that we provide a critical environment in terms of what are the infrastructural facilities that will enable quality productions. What are the soft skills that are required? What are the enabling legal instruments that will enable the production of this particular content? How do we structure the financial channels that the filmmakers are able to access funding to produce the kind of content that will be acceptable and that will be able to give returns at the end? So the element of standard, for me, I'm looking at it in various aspects.
It has different angles.
Yes, it has different angles. But when it comes to the accreditation and standardization of who is a filmmaker and who is what, when you look at our mandate, we've got the element of certifying filmmakers. And that will, or is helping us bring all filmmakers or associations to a space where, through their own internal mechanisms, associations are able to strengthen how they operate, while the Commission is able to support these associations to get stronger. Because as a practitioner in the industry, I want to be very confident that I belong to Association A. Why do I want to belong? Because I gain X benefits. And that's why I encourage all association officials in Kenya to focus on the benefits to their association members. Because by doing that, then we'll be helping also government in strengthening and structuring how the industry works.
But then how are these associations faring on so far, even when it comes to the form of organization?
Yes, currently the film associations, some are struggling because of various factors, and that's why we at the Commission, we've made it a resolve that we need to support these associations to be strong. How do we support them? We support by way of training. We bring about best practices from other jurisdictions, and also just reinventing the governance structures within these associations. Because an association is a grouping of people, and all these members can only be happy to belong if they are getting benefits from these connections.
So these filmmakers, the producers, you know, they need to get certified. They need to be affiliated to the associations that are there in the country. It benefits them.
Yes, all we are trying to say is that today, if you came, let's say you came to Kenya for the first time, and you want to know who is a filmmaker in the country. How many do we have? Where are they? In county X and B, do we have a producer?
How do we pick them out?
Yes, and where are they and what are they doing? What are the skill sets? We need all this information. And as I said earlier, the element of bringing this particular industry into 100% formal is critical. And when I talk about 100% formal, I'm talking about having businesses within the film industry that are connected to the general government system. For example, how many film businesses are connected to KRA? How many film businesses are running throughout the financial year connected to the government parameters? That is very critical.
Now, what is the current the status of the film industry? I'm looking at the pandemic. We are in a time where we have the COVID-19 pandemic. But now, in my view, there is opportunity here.
Yes.
Because people are home, and the film industry can thrive at this time because people are told to stay at home. But during this time, we need to air more local content. How is the input from our own local content creators?
Yes, I will speak on behalf of the Commission.
Yes.
And what we are doing, our assessment as far as the effect of COVID-19 to the sector, and also what we are doing to bridge the gap.
Yes.
I know with the COVID-19, it has really changed the way we do business. Remember, even in offices, the social distancing component has emerged. We have to wear masks. We have to stay at home, and so much more. That applies to the film industry. Remember, anytime you are in a production, film production involves people, and it involves gatherings, which means most of our productions have been suspended.
So the input right now has gone down?
Really, almost to a large extent it has, because most projects have been either cancelled or suspended. About 3 weeks ago, we ran a survey to just ascertain the level of impact COVID has really led to within our film industry. And the findings are very clear as we are discussing. Many projects have been either suspended or cancelled completely. Remember, most of film practitioners are not employed on permanent basis, which means they have got zero income as we speak.
Because they have to work for them to get an income.
That is it. In addition to that, remember there are service providers within the industry. There are those whose work is purely to rely on jobs that are coming into the country from other jurisdictions. Today, the projects have been cancelled, so there is really nothing much they can be able to do. So for us at the Kenya Film Commission, we have made it deliberate and championed by our CS. There is a program that will be launched shortly to intervene the film industry's well-being.
So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely. And of course, before the ministry gives that guidance, at our own level, we have already also put measures in place that will be able to help the industry. We are providing film-related information constantly as far as COVID-19 is concerned. We are also working with like-minded partners to develop short messaging that are towards connecting and just creating awareness of the film industry effects in this particular area. Remember, we have My Kenya, My Story, mobile film competition. We have brought it at this time because we are aware people are at home.
What is that all about, the My Kenya, My Story?
It's an interesting program that we run, and this is we do this every year. It's a mobile film competition where everyone at home is given room to use their mobile gadget to tell a story, 3 to 5 minutes. And this time around, we're asking Kenyans to tell a story about COVID-19, about the environment in your household. What is going on? You may be able to come up with a story and just tell the public how you are social distancing and everything else around COVID-19 within your household. These are stories that are aimed at helping us understand the magnitude of COVID-19 while promoting the government guidelines that have been set to help everyone secure and also to reduce any tension in terms of burden to our health systems. So the Commission is promoting the government guidelines towards COVID-19 through this particular program. The program, the lines are now open and submissions will go all the way to the 3rd of June. And the winner will be able to get 200,000 shillings. Wow. The second runners-up will get 150, while the third will be able to get 100,000 shillings.
Prizes up for grabs.
Yes.
As we bring this discussion to a close, what are you doing so far in the plans that are there to provide sustainable financial support towards all these causes, the plans and the goals that you've set?
Yes, we have quite a number of programs that we have put in place to see to it that post-COVID, we would like to see continuity of the film industry. So we have actually come up with a stimulus package where we've set aside some financial support to the industry, and the call is already out. We're asking filmmakers or producers to apply for funding so that we are able to run a few projects post-COVID. Why? What is the intention of this particular program? The intention is very simple. Post-COVID, when we have 10 projects running, each project employing at least 100 people or 200 people, then we'll be able to have a sustainable flow of work and income to most of our key filmmakers.
So funding will be there, everything will be there.
Who are currently at home and not achieving anything. And also remember, the other aspect that we have focused on is the establishment of an audiovisual CMO. Recently, the head of state announced the restructuring of royalty disbursement through a centralized system. And that, for me, it's important that even our filmmakers have to be beneficiaries. And the only way for the filmmakers to be beneficiaries is to have the audiovisual CMO in place, which is work in progress. Shortly, we will be doing digital stakeholder validation so that Kenya Copyright Board can be able to accredit or license a CMO that will address the producers. The third is we are working with one of the key banking institution in Kenya to establish a funding mechanism for the sector. Because of COVID, the plans went a little bit down, but our take is that COVID-19 has come with various opportunities that we need to harness in terms of how do we distribute our content, how do we ensure that we are able to monetize film content without having to wait for the traditional ways of the audiences accessing our content and being able to earn.
So when the audience accesses content, the filmmakers also
should be able to get their income. So new ways of monetizing their content, and also because of this fund that we have established, we are asking well-wishers, institutions, to chip into this empowerment fund so that we are able to have continuity of this particular program, because our intention is professionalize the industry while at the same time create room for filmmakers to produce content or tell stories that create jobs, stories that bring income to the pockets of filmmakers.
But we need archiving of these materials.
Yes, that's a good point, and thank you for mentioning archiving. When you look at the Kenya Film Commission mandate, we have a role of, or we act as a repository. So Kenya Film Commission is currently working with one of the international media houses in Kenya to set up the right infrastructure that will enable a repository 100% done, which means anytime you want to access film materials in the country, the Commission is putting a mechanism to help us collect, store, and access. So those three components are being addressed. Why collect? We need to collect all content available in the country, store it in the right format, and make it available to the general public.
All right. Thank you very much. That is the Kenya Film Commission CEO, Timothy Owase.